Rolex watches are the most sought after in the world. Obtaining one after the pandemic has become extremely difficult, whether you want to buy a Daytona, Submariner, Datejust, or any other model. Like many people, you will also be subjected to a lengthy Rolex waitlist for these luxury watches. Now you are probably wondering what the Rolex waitlist is. The Rolex waitlist is an arbitrary ranking of customers in order to receive new Rolex watches as they arrive at the store. Some stores are open about Rolex waitlists, while others deny their existence. After all, Rolex dealers are delighted because they sell all of their Rolex inventory before it arrives in the store, but they face the daunting task of managing the expectations of customers, willing to spend thousands of dollars on a product they cannot have. That's why we made this video to tell you tips and tricks on how to beat the Rolex Authorized Dealer waitlist. Tip number 1. Dress smart when you meet Rolex Authorized Dealer. People still judge you based on your appearance, no matter how superficial you believe this is. No matter how much money you have, a Rolex Authorized Dealer would rather sell a watch to a smart-looking person who they would rather see in the store and who fits in with the brand image than someone in dirty clothes selling like he has been at a bar all day. We're not saying you need to dress up to go watch shopping. Far from it. We would recommend a nice new pair of trainers, some nice jeans, and a polo shirt as the bare minimum for dress-down wear, or business casual is a perfect attire to go watch shopping. As long as you look smart in terms of dress, clean, and wearing your favorite perfume, this will go a long way on the first impressions. Tip number 2. Be knowledgeable about Rolex. If you are knowledgeable about the Rolex brand, you will be well placed to beat the Rolex waiting list. We're not saying you have to be an absolute expert, but knowing something about the brand, its history, core models, and a bit of technical knowledge will not only give you plenty to talk about with your dealer, but will also demonstrate that you are serious about Rolex, the brand, and its values. This puts you in a better position to be chosen for one of the next Rolex sports models when they arrive. Also, try to find out when the deliveries are and the time of your visits to coincide with them. That way, you might get lucky, and they might have just taken delivery of that model you've had your eye on. If the Rolex Authorized Dealer is in a good mood and likes you, and all the stars align, you will walk away with the Rolex Daytona you have always desired. Tip number 3. Be nice with Rolex Authorized Dealer. In life, as well as when trying to beat the Rolex waiting list, just be nice. It is a fact that being arrogant will not get you to the top of any Rolex waiting list. The Rolex Authorized Dealers have the authority to give anyone the Rolex sports model they desire, and they will not give it to someone they dislike. On the other hand, they are more likely to want to sell a watch to someone they like, can relate to, and who is similar to them in some ways. That's why we would recommend you to choose a Rolex sales representative with whom you feel you are the most in common with, where you believe you can build the best relationship, which leads us nicely to tip 4 for beating the Rolex waiting list. Tip number 4. Build a relationship with the Rolex Authorized Dealer. This is related to tip number 3 about being nice. However, make every effort to establish a positive relationship with one of the sales representatives at the Rolex Authorized Dealer. When you go to the store, make sure you go to the same guy or girl each time, have a coffee with them in the store, and talk about things other than watches. Of course, at first you will only talk about watches, but as time passes, try to talk about other things as well. Talk about your families, hobbies, and interests, and hopefully, you'll find some common ground. Don't get creepy on this though. Let the relationship flourish into discussing these things. Don't jump straight in asking about their family, or they will think you are weird. The more you get to know the sales representative, the better friends you'll become, and the sales representative will be more inclined to get you the watch you want in a reasonable amount of time. Tip number 5. Wear a Rolex watch when you meet Rolex Authorized Dealer. This is obviously not for everyone. If you want to buy your first Rolex, you won't have one to bring into the store. However, if you already own a Rolex, wear it every time you visit an authorized dealer to discuss purchasing your new model. It will not only provide you with a great talking point with the Rolex Authorized Dealer, but it will also demonstrate that you have a previous purchase history with Rolex and may have a high net worth. And if you continue to visit the store while wearing the same watch, the Rolex Authorized Dealer will have confidence that you are not just looking for that Submariner or Daytona to flip for profit. If you don't own a Rolex currently, then by all means, wear any other luxury watch you own. This shows you are serious about watches and are serious about dropping the cash on that new Rolex. Tip number 6. Let Authorized Dealer know you are serious. Rolex Authorized Dealer should know that you're committed, and that if you get the call, you'll come in within 24 hours to pay for the watch, and you have the means to do so. Continue to demonstrate to the Rolex Authorized dealer that you were serious and will arrive with a card ready to swipe as soon as the call comes in. Many people who sign up for the Rolex waiting list cannot afford the piece or are not serious about purchasing it for one reason or another. The authorized dealers can spot these people a mile away, and if you appear in any way that leads them to believe you are not sincere, they probably won't even put you on the Rolex waiting list you believe you are on. The dealers keep a list of people they know they can rely on, and they will come with the cash to make the purchase within 24 hours. Tip number 7. Don't keep changing your mind. Don't keep rethinking which Rolex sports model you want. Choose the one you truly desire and stick to it until you purchase it. So be sure to do your research on the Rolex you want. Make sure you choose the best one for you and stick with it. If you keep changing your mind, such as wanting a Submariner one week and a GMT Master the next, then the authorized dealer will not take you seriously. With that said, we would refrain you to not put your name down for multiple Rolex models. Don't put your name down for a Submariner, a Daytona, or a GMT, for example. This simply indicates that I'm willing to flip any watch I get. Have a story about why you want a specific watch, what it means to you, and why getting this watch would be so special for you. Tip number 8. Meet authorized dealer regularly. It's a good idea to visit your authorized dealer as often as possible so they know you're serious about the watch you want. We would recommend visiting the store a couple of times a month, just enough to demonstrate that you were serious about making the purchase. If you put your name on the Rolex waiting list and then never show up again, you are unlikely to be the first person on the dealer's mind when the watch arrives. If you go to the Rolex store every Friday after work without fail, guess who is on the authorized dealer's mind when the watch you have your name down for arrives? That's right, you. So going to the Rolex store on a regular basis will greatly increase your chances of getting the watch you want quickly. Tip number 9. Try to have some purchase history. It always helps if you have a purchase history with a Rolex authorized dealer. It doesn't have to be huge, and it doesn't have to be on Rolex. It doesn't even have to be on watches if the authorized dealer is part of a retail who sell other jewelry such as rings or bracelets. It does help if you have a history of purchasing less desirable Rolex models, such as many of the bimetal two-tone models, such as the Datejust. There are rumors circulating that you will be unable to obtain any stainless steel sports model unless you have previously purchased a Rolex Datejust, but we don't believe this is entirely true, but it would help surely. Many people only want one watch and can only afford one luxury watch in their lifetime, so buying a number of other Rolex watches to get to the stainless steel version they want is just not a viable option. Tip number 10. Not flipping the watch. This is related to tip number 5, in that you should do anything you can to ensure that the Rolex authorized dealer does not believe you intend to sell the watch for a profit. Rolex authorized dealers put people to the top of the Rolex waiting list who they believe will keep the watch for a long time. So if you have a great story about why you want a watch, as mentioned in tip 7, you will be in good shape to get a Rolex at retail. But make sure they don't think you will flip the watch. If you enjoyed the video, then like and subscribe for more content like this.